You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Schultz here with you. Thanks for joining us. Could this guy, Kirk Cousins, be on his way to Seattle next season? We have some interesting new developments to get to that we will explain coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do that, though, folks, Cousins' former team, the Minnesota Vikings, they're facing off against your Seattle Seahawks this week. And we have a sub-battle going on between our old friend Patrick Seatman, the Ginger, and Seahawks Today. We want to see who's going to not just win on the football field, but off the football field as well, and who can pick up the most subscribers on their respective channels this week. Vikings now with a slight edge, 98-91, but we can catch up to them here a bit. We want to make sure we set the tone early for the rest of the week. If the Hawks do their part, we'll do ours. Or I guess it's the other way around. You get the right idea. Subscribe now for free for the latest happenings on your favorite team each and every day, all season, all year long, right here on Seahawks Today, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. So according to some new odds that are out, courtesy of betonline.ag, the Seahawks are among the top favorites to land Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins this offseason. And if you need a little refresher, Cousins came to Atlanta, got paid a lot of money, signed a no-trade clause, and this season has not gone up to expectations. He has really struggled coming back from that Achilles injury that he suffered a season ago. Even though they're in playoff contention, have a chance to still win their division, he's been benched. A very familiar name to the folks in Seattle, Michael Penix Jr., now takes over as the starting quarterback in Atlanta, and so that pretty much means that barring something crazy happening, Cousins is likely done with the Falcons after this season. So where could he go next? Here's the odds, courtesy of betonline.ag. The Titans are the favorites for Cousins to start week 1 of 2025. But what do you know? Who's next? Seattle at plus 450, the Browns at plus 500, the Saints at plus 600, and the New York Giants at plus 800. I got to say, I was a little surprised by this, but they always say Vegas knows best. Do they know something that's going on behind the scenes that we don't potentially? Let me make this point very clear, though. Under no circumstance whatsoever should the Seattle Seahawks even consider trading for Kirk Cousins from the Atlanta Falcons. Absolutely not. No way. Nada. He looked awful this season. His contract is atrocious to deal with. It's a hell no from me when it comes to trading for Kirk Cousins. But that's the key word, trading. Hear me out on this. Let's work this one thing at a time. Let's start with this from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. As one source put it, Cousins' arm is currently dead. That's believed to be a result of his inability to use his lower body to muster full power on his throws. It stands to reason that after 14 games of compensating for protecting his surgically repaired Achilles tendon, he's out of gas. So that's not great. However, if he is released, then you may have my interest potentially. Because let's just say, for all intents and purposes, that he does not want to waive his no-trade clause, that he doesn't want to work with Atlanta, and they say, fine, get out of here. Here's your money. Well, then, as a free agent, it's a totally different situation compared to if he were traded when it comes to the financials. Here's more from Florio explaining the following. If he refuses to waive his no-trade clause and forces the Falcons to release him, citing him for the league minimum, with the Falcons on the hook for the balance between that and $27.5 million, becomes a steal. Someone would surely give him a chance at that price tag. So at that point, it would be similar to what the Pittsburgh Steelers have with our old friend Russell Wilson right now, where if you're Seattle here, you could be in a circumstance where you get Cousins for next to nothing compared to money that you would have to pay Geno. And Geno, of course, is looking for a new contract anyway. And the truth of the matter is this. If you're Seattle here, whether it's Cousins, whether it's Geno, you're in the same circumstance either way where you would have a bridge quarterback. Geno's not your long-term solution. Neither is Cousins. And you could save a lot of money potentially with Cousins if you were to sign him as a free agent. That idea has my attention. Should the Seahawks bring in Cousins this offseason? It's our pinned comment today. Type Y for yes and for no. Weigh in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by GameTime. GameTime is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether looking for tickets to sporting events to see your Seattle Seahawks in action, maybe it's the Kraken or it's a theater production, comedy show, whatever it may be in Seattle and elsewhere, GameTime's got you covered. GameTime is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, that experience is much better, and it's the perfect gift. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their super deals. If you see a super deal, that's going to be one you don't want to pass up on. They have their seat views. You can get the visual, see what that seat is like. You can customize your spot as well. You choose the event you want to go to. Price is listed. Choose your seat to see if you like that seat or not. And then, boom, you're checking out with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? GameTime. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. GameTime, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. All right, more on Kirk Cousins. The former Washington Commander went on to the Minnesota Vikings, and he has been paid a lot of money over his career. And the results, well, he hasn't really had the postseason success. He's got 4 Pro Bowls to his name, led the NFL in completion percentage in 2015, has put up a ton of numbers. You go back to 2021, threw for 33 touchdowns, just 7 picks, 29 touchdowns in 2022. Last year was off to a very good start before he got hurt with that season-ending Achilles injury. But Cousins has struggled in the big games. He hasn't looked great in prime time. He doesn't have the postseason success on that front. Now, whether the Seahawks keep Geno or bring in a guy like Cousins, what hasn't changed for me is the long-term outlook for this quarterback situation for Seattle. Whether you decide to keep Geno or if you go another direction and bring in Cousins, the plan is still in place, I believe, whether it's this year or whether it's next year. You still have to find that quarterback of the future. You can't play this journeyman veteran quarterback game forever and expect long-term success. Eventually, John Schneider, and I know he's been reluctant on drafting young quarterbacks, eventually he's got to find that guy. And so if you go with Smith or if you go with Cousins, that's going to be a 1 or 2 year solution at most, and then you need to go find your long-term guy. And maybe that long-term guy can sit under a Geno or a Cousins potentially and wait for their day to come. But that doesn't change the fact that that needs to happen. And Geno was never supposed to be a long-term solution anyway. I think, in all honesty, we should be thrilled that Seattle's gotten what they've gotten out of Geno Smith. 2 Pro Bowls, back-to-back 9-win seasons, NFL Comeback Player of the Year, led the NFL in completion percentage. I've been very pleased, for the most part, from what we've seen from Geno in this short stretch, but it was never supposed to be a long-term thing. Now, what about Sam Howell? Where does he factor in all this? Because right now, Geno Smith and Sam Howell both are under contract for next season. If you're making me choose, I'm taking Cousins and Smith both over Sam Howell. If Cousins is an option as a free agent at the veteran minimum, as we're suggesting here, then I'm not even considering Sam Howell to get a chance to be the starter next year. Then my decision at that point, if I'm going the veteran route, is do we stick with Geno or do we go with Cousins? Because Sam Howell, I got to tell you, I know it was a small sample size, but my goodness, was that ugly on Sunday night of what we saw. And it was very different from when Geno stepped in for Russell Wilson a few years ago and the lights came on and he was ready to go, led a 98-yard touchdown drive and did pretty good in the games he filled in for Russell Wilson a few years ago. Sam Howell, I think we know what we know out of Sam Howell at this point. He's a gunslinger. He can certainly throw it downfield, but he makes too many mistakes. He walks into too many sacks. He's not accurate enough. Sam Howell, I don't care if it's for Seattle or for any team in the NFL, he is never going to be a franchise quarterback in this league. He is a very good backup, and I would be very fine with keeping Sam Howell around to back up a Geno or a Cousins or something like that. But this is not the solution you're hoping for. If Sam Howell is your day one starter next year, I think we all should be very concerned. Now, let's let you all pick. If you could decide between these three vets to be next year's starting quarterback, who would it be? Would you go with Cousins? Would you go with Geno? Or would you roll with Sam Howell? Type KC for Kirk Cousins. Type GS for Geno Smith. Type SH for Sam Howell. Weigh in. Let us know which quarterback you would roll with next year. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today by Chad Sports. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.